Did you know you could buy one of these homes in Phoenix, Arizona for $20,000? But here's the catch. You see that dirt right there? You don't own it. It's called a land lease. The mobile home park owns it. Hi, I'm Justine. I'm a Phoenix real estate agent and investor, and I just got a listing in a land lease mobile home community, and we need to talk about it because it is very different than a traditional listing. A lot of people have no idea what a land lease actually is and what it means. So in this video, we're going to break down the definition, talk about the monthly fees and what it includes, talk about the rules and challenges, and talk about why buyers and sellers can get blindsided. So with a land lease, basically you own the structure, but you don't own the dirt. The mobile home park owns the dirt, and there's a community manager that runs the park. So in a land lease community, you're just buying the structure, not the land. The land is actually owned by the park. So you're buying the home, you're leasing the land, you're paying a rent every single month to live in the house. And the community manager runs the park. They make all the rules. They own the dirt. They own the land. It's their land. What that monthly rent includes, like for here, there's a pool, there's a clubhouse, there's a gym, there's facilities, they do weekly events. There's a big sense of community in these land lease communities typically, but what the rent doesn't cover is basically everything it costs to own a home. Any maintenance, any repairs, all of that is going to be covered by the owner. The monthly rent also includes things like water, trash, sewage, but other things like electricity and internet, that's still probably going to be covered by the owners. But here's the part that catches people off guard is you don't own the land again, and so you're not making the rules. The park is going to have its own rules and its own restrictions that you must abide by. There's often going to be limitations on the types of pets you can have, the number of pets, the breeds. There's going to be rules about where you can park, guests, who's allowed in the park, who's not allowed. I mean, all of that is up to the community manager. I mean, things like rental restrictions, forget about it. You're going to have no say in that, and it's very likely not going to be allowed. Big no-no with land leases. And here's the part that really throws people off. Because they make the rules, they determine everything. They can change the rules at any point in time. They can raise the fees at any point in time. It's very common for fees to go up every year in these parks. And when people are on fixed incomes in these age-restricted communities, it's very, very challenging. And I mean, it's also very frustrating. Imagine buying a house with certain rules, and then a few years later, the rules completely change, and you have to change a big part of your lifestyle to accommodate the rules on the community. The monthly rent, by the way, is not cheap at all. Obviously, it's going to have a huge swing, but for a park like this, it's not uncommon to see over $1,000 a month. A lot of people assume that these rules work like an HOA, and that is not the case at all. It's actually way more strict than a normal HOA, because in an HOA community, you're still considered like one of the owners, and this is completely different because you're actually just paying to rent the dirt on the ground. You're not considered an owner at all. So that makes a completely different power dynamic here. Think about it. HOA, Homeowners Association. It's a board of homeowners making decisions for the best interest of the homeowners. This is a park, a profitable park that is owning it as an investor, making a profit every month on rent. It's basically just being a tenant. And here's where the power dynamic really comes in that people don't think about, is that the park even gets to approve who's even allowed to buy. So even if you have the perfect buyer that wants to buy, if they don't meet the specific rules or criteria or get approved by the park manager, the deal's done. It's not going to happen. And since the park makes the rules, the approvals can be literally anything. Sometimes it's income checks, sometimes it's credit checks, sometimes it's qualifications, sometimes it's an interview, sometimes it's letters of recommendation. It can totally depend. That's why sometimes you hear people complaining about how the park manager is the unofficial mayor who runs the place, because they can really gatekeep all the information. They decide who can move, they decide who can sell for the most part, they can decide what the rules are, they make the rent. It's their park. And as a seller, this can be very frustrating. You could be doing all the things right, very motivated to sell quickly, pricing it right, advertising it, hiring a real estate agent, and it's all up to the park on their timeline design and their decisions on what can get approved. A whole nother can of worms we need to talk about is the lending for these houses, because they cannot get conventional lending. Lenders don't like land leases. They're considered too risky. So it usually has to be a cash buyer or someone using some type of specialty lending. This doesn't mean all land lease communities are bad by any means, but it does mean that whoever is buying or selling in a community needs to definitely do their research and weigh out all the pros and cons to see if it's the right decision for them. They need to understand the system that they're stepping into and understand the power imbalance that it comes with. If you've done all of that and done your research on the park and understand the pros and cons and challenges with a land lease, then you can make a more informed decision and avoid being blindsided in the future. If this video was helpful, please make sure to hit subscribe and like this video. I'm a brand new creator here on YouTube. I'm a real estate agent here in Phoenix, Arizona, and I am breaking down real estate things that most people don't talk about. See you soon.